Eloro Resources is advancing one of the most talked about discoveries in South America, the Iska Iska project in southern Bolivia. This giant polymetallic deposit is drawing attention not only for its scale, but for its high tin content at a time when the world is searching for secure supplies of this critical metal. Well, there are new drill results pointing to broader potential. Now, I want to bring in Thomas Larsen, CEO of Eloro Resources, to talk more about this. Thomas, thanks very much indeed for your time.
Well, thank you for having me. Great to be here.
Great. Listen, we're going to talk about the company and the projects in a moment, but as a curtain raiser, as an opener, when you look at the global hunt for secure tin supply, what stands out for you, especially in Bolivia? What's your take?
Well, Bolivia has always had a major history for tin supply over the last, 3-4 centuries. It's, on the prolific tin belt, which is sort of a similarity to that of the copper belts, the copper porphyry systems that you might find, from Argentina all the way up through the, the Pacific coast of South America. The thing about where, Bolivia, it's been very, very much underexplored by modern methodology. I'm seeing that starting to change dramatically. But we moved into our project back in 2020. Close to 150,000 meters later, $70 million of exploration drilling into this volcanic edifice, this volcanic caldera in the middle of this structure. This is where we've been infilling drilling as of late. And tin has become a major part of that discovery.
Let's talk about the Iska Iska project and explain to me the work done so far on this major deposit.
So we locked up at the project in January of 2020, just prior to COVID setting in. So obviously travel restrictions, but we were fortunate enough to bring in Micon International, an independent mining engineering outfit. They did a site visit, so that allowed us to move forward with a 43101 report. In August of that year, we did a financing with Crescat Capital and some of my shareholder base, and from there we moved into the inaugural drilling campaign, actually within a rehabbed adit about 150 meters below surface in the inner walls of the volcanic edifice. This volcanic structure rises to as high as 4,000 meters. It's very similar to the Cerro Rico volcanic structure, the largest output of silver worldwide since the 16th century. Over 2.5 billion ounces of silver have been derived from that volcanic edifice that the Spanish discovered with the indigenous back in the 16th. So that was sort of the backdrop. We started into what we call radial drilling. Every single hole that we've drilled since then has encountered mineralization.
Yeah, I found the drill results quite interesting. I mean, you recently reported 0.4% tin over nearly 80 meters in the whole DSP 78, if I'm not mistaken. How does this compare with earlier drilling, and what does it say about the system's potential?
The tin that we encountered on those initial drill holes back in 2021, 22, 23, they were more in the upper part of the volcanic edifice in what we call sulfides. So more finely disseminated, finely grained. So the recoveries would have made it somewhat uneconomic. And that's why that wasn't incorporated into the MRE. Since then, with our infill drilling to enhance what we will be showing in our PEA coming out first quarter, hopefully, of 2026, we moved into what we call 50-meter spacings. We found that with that more dense type drilling, the grades seemed to improve, especially in silver. But while doing that, we encountered this corridor to the west of our open pit model that'll be in the PEA. We call it the TIB. Really, it's the tertiary intrusive breccia complex. I just call it the tin intrusive breccia complex. It's a cylindrical that comes up in format. It comes up from the deeper tin porphyry source. So that is in a more oxidized cassiterite type form, whereby the granulation's a little more coarse, but the separation is that much easier, so it's beneficial for cost effectivity. And the grades were higher on average than what we were encountering in the earlier days in the sulfides. Like zero point 0.4, you convert that into about 8 pounds of tin. Just multiply by 20, factor of 20. And tin is trading at $15-16 a pound. So you're talking in excess of $100 rock per ton valuation. And if you can, take that your operating cost, transportation, if you can move it for under $20-25, there's a profit margin there for you. I won't get into how big. We'll wait for the PEA for that.
So what's the next steps for drilling, Tom? I mean, will you focus on infill, deeper targets, metallurgical sampling, or is it step outs to the northeast?
No, we're not doing step out to the northeast. That's a secondary sort of model for later that could extend the pit at some point later. No, we're focused in on what we call the initial silver, lead zinc or polymetallic sulfide area to the north, to the initial northeast, and then also to the transitional silver tin zone, which is also sort of partially sulfidic, more sort of silver tin. We've been infilling in that side. That's all part of the open pit. The strike length will probably move to over 2,000 meters, going though to the west, not to the east. And then we are encompassing this brand new tin corridor to the far west, to the northwest west. So that's where the infill, the 50-meter drilling, has been sort of directed towards over the last 12 months.
You touched on this a little earlier. Tin prices surging. Has this strengthened the case for your project or shifted your exploration and developmental plans?
Tin is definitely a major valuator for the model, for the valuation model, no question. I look at this as a very unique open pit type of model because it's primarily tin silver. However, even the zinc, though, zinc is you start seeing copper prices move up, you'll see zinc prices start moving up. It's just the way it is historically speaking. So it's primarily a tin silver, but you've got zinc lead. You've also got indium. But the main event, I would say, is silver tin.
So, Tom, I'm curious about the political setting and the landscape in Bolivia at the moment. What sort of impact has it had on your project?
Really importantly, and it's such a game changer for us, and it was one of the reasons we decided to move quickly on a bought deal. And I haven't seen a bought deal in our space for juniors in Bolivia in a couple of years. But Red Cloud, they're a good, strong, solid, aggressive group, and they helped with a brokered private a life offering back in I think it was April, and we decided to do a bought deal, a $5 million bought deal 2 or 3 weeks ago. However, that was upsized within a couple of hours when we went live with it, and so we closed on 14 million all in. That just shows you the appetite. Now, one of the reasons, not suddenly because silver has gone up, a couple of bucks since that period, which is great, or that gold is really moving up. What I believe is what is happening in Bolivia itself, politically speaking. Big picture here is that the MAS party, which was the party officially recognized by a fellow called Evo Morales back in 2006, he nationalized a lot of different sectors. Foreign investment was somewhat cautious once he became involved. Like world arbitration courts were not recognized from, during his tenureship. So for the big balance sheets coming into Bolivia, it was sort of a sit and wait attitude. Now with the election that just took place, they're going into a runoff in October, but the MAS party's down to around 3%. They almost lost their charter. This is fantastic news for foreign investment. And I think you'll see a lot of amendments taking place with agreement, like guarantees and such, or just protection agreements arbitration court, world arbitration court recognition. I think you'll see that starting to unfold over the following 6 months, taking a page out of the Argentinian situation. That will attract investment. It should attract more players coming into a very underexplored mineralogical area, being Bolivia and that tin belt especially.
So as I wrap up, Tom, I've got to ask you, how would some of the funds be used to advance Iska Iska?
So basically another 5,000, 7,000, probably 5,000 meters of drilling. One of the good things is we're under $300 Canadian per meter. So, it's right now, that's very, very cheap for drilling purposes. There have been fuel shortages in Bolivia over the last few months, which has sort of hindered us somewhat, down to like one drill, for instance, that's been operational and we're only getting 50, 60 meters a day. So that's been sort of slow, and why you haven't seen a lot of news flow, but that you'll see changing dramatically in the coming weeks. So use of proceeds will be completing the drilling, completing the PEA, the metallurgical work, the XRT ore sorting that for instance, Minsur are using. It's becoming a major game changer for for low cost type of operations. The separation process that's completed at Tomra, they oversee this out of Germany, up by Hamburg in Waddell. I was there about 2 months ago. It's unbelievable what is the transformation in XRT ore sorting. We'll be implementing that as well in our flow sheet. Studies like that, and then just using funds to move into the PFS. So, we don't have to go back to market. I think that was one of the hindrances. People were expecting us every 6 months to hit the market. I don't think, we're beyond that. So a little digestion on this latest raise, but I think that'll be short-lived.
Well, it's compelling to watch and sounds very interesting indeed. Thomas Larsen, CEO of Eloro Resources, thanks very much indeed for your time.
Thank you for having me on.